to see you again.
Beja, good to see you too.
Nitsan.
Randy Light, hello.
Hi, Billy.
Hello.
Where'd you go? There you are.
A reunion.
Yeah.
Özden, how are you?
Fine. How about you, Pesa?
Fine, I really missed you.
Yeah, I
see
did
you here.
too. Are you in Istanbul?
In Silivri. Out of, I mean, Istanbul, but you know, suburbs.
Okay, okay.
Mm.
How's everything with you?
Wonderful. I'll call you after the meeting.
Okay, fine.
Betül nasılsın?
Teşekkür ederim. I'm fine.
So, welcome everyone on this special Friday of inclusion. And yeah, this topic came up because of what the experience is, yet becoming a global experience. So
Yeah.
I thought it was very timely, and this picture came across, and I said to Paul, this is it. We had another plan for this Friday, but this is really on the front burner. So
Inclusion. I think it's easy for us to exclude, sometimes more easy than including, right? Yeah, and so thinking about inclusion, my greatest experience of inclusion was when I was sent home by a bolt of lightning. Oh, Billy thinks that's funny.
Because I had a past life experience where I was hit by lightning.
Oh,
So
so how about that? An NDE in a past life. That's really a hybrid experience.
that was quite unique.
Yeah. But one of the things that inclusion, it means to include as opposed to exclude. So all inclusive, embracing all. Yeah. Someone's asking there about what inclusion means. So in my journey home, one of the most profound and transformative parts of that journey was to re-experience oneness, to really be a part of all things and feel all things a part of me. I had my
Exactly.
own conscious awareness, but absolutely no sense of separation. And after experiencing this oneness beyond a concept or a thought, to really feel it and experience it on a soul level, it changed me. But coming out of that oneness again, separating from that and having a sense of separation, I realized what a core wound that is, I believe, in all of us.
Mm.
Feeling separate, different, disconnected. And what a great longing there is in my being for this oneness. We can feel it with a partner. We can feel it with close friends. But even so, I think there's still something even greater within us that longs for this oneness, for this connection. Don't you agree? Don't most of you feel this missing, this longing, this sense of separation? Yes. I don't belong. And so I think we're all trying in some way to get back to that. And what I see in these days, in these times, is a great movement in both directions. There are many influences that are separating us, that are driving us apart. without getting all political, we saw it during elections, previous elections, how people had very strong opinions in both directions. And I think that separation and difference of opinion has grown more and more over the years. And then more recently with this whole virus question, this thing that some people call pandemic, there are so many different opinions about it. Should wear a mask, shouldn't wear a mask, should do this, shouldn't do that. It's unbelievable. Even top experts have such different views and opinions. And without diving into all of that, I think if you look at the energy of it, of what's happening, it's even more separation. And at the same time, as we've been unable to make direct contact with people, there's also this movement towards coming together. I mean, look at us here today. 22 of us from all around the world reconnecting, reminding ourselves that we are one, and working to re-experience that, to know that again in our own being through experience. And so one of the practices or meditations we'll do today, we hope will bring us more together. Let us start to feel that oneness within ourselves, to see that oneness in each other, and to experience it as a whole, as a group.
My experience of exclusion started very early in my life too. I shared that yesterday with a very good friend whom I haven't seen in a long time, Bill. He just came on. And when I was 5, I had typhoid fever, and I had a near-death experience during almost dying from the typhoid fever. And I was in isolation, I think almost for half a year in the hospital, because my father was a doctor and my parents weren't allowed to see me because I was so contagious, and no one really in Germany at that time had typhoid. So from having had that experience of going truly home, meeting even souls who were not incarnated, who would have been in my family system, which I didn't know about and was told about some almost 40 years later, knowing their name from then on, knowing that there are guides and angels, being able to see them, pointing them out later on in my bedroom and out in nature, and talking about things which other people couldn't see, made me super weird. I mean, talking about a weirdo. I was in 3 elementary schools. I was always beaten up to that degree that I had bloodshot eyes and I don't know what. And my parents tried to find a school for me which was safe. So, but my family system offered lots of possibilities to look into racial, what we call racial in our human experience, exclusion. My mom was a white South African. I grew up partially in South Africa and had the experience of apartheid. My father was in World War II in the SS as a doctor. So needless to say, I looked at the entire Holocaust from the perspective of what I call perpetrator-victim perspective, and became completely involved into family constellations in the late 90s through Bert Hellinger. And in the constellation work through more than 20 years now, I really experience what it means when we are individually not starting to look at ourselves, where we personally exclude people. It's very easy to be in our group here and say, I love you, I look at you, I embrace you. But what happens when we go outside of our family, outside of those we love, outside of those which are maybe still in our small circle community, in our neighborhood, in our workplace? Depends on how far you can extend this. And then in your religious or spiritual community, where do you, within your subconscious mind and your unconscious mind, have your dark spots of exclusion? And if we don't personally start to really work on including each and every other human being who has the human experience as we have on this planet, then this exclusion will be picked up by someone else most of the time in our family system. Somebody else will look for us into the dark spots of our unconscious behavior. When we look in our family system, such as, for example, I can again share from myself. I had a sister who was in a mental asylum. She was not recognized in my family. She didn't have much more than a name, which was dropped once in a while. I never met her. She died when I was 10 years old. I overheard that conversation on the phone that the mental asylum called my father and said, my sister died. From then on, I was standing very often in the window of my bedroom looking out in the garden thinking, I think I go insane. I think I go crazy. Maybe one day they get me and they put me into an asylum. I was so entangled with her experience of being locked away and being excluded from the family system, not having been seen, not having been acknowledged, let alone loved. Whoever loved her, whoever held her hand, whoever gave her a hug. And me having had the near-death experience and being what other people would say, a medium or psychic or whatever all these labels are, which I had no clue about, I picked up her energy. And later on, way later on, was able to include her through the knowledge, thank God, Bert Hellinger gave me, and through the knowledge of a shaman I was working with, in order for her to finally be at peace as the soul who she is and be included. Now, with what is happening here in America, and I said in the beginning, this is becoming a global movement. I just had a message from a friend of mine. Tomorrow, he and his daughter are going to demonstrate in Hamburg, Germany. I saw many people throughout the entire globe demonstrating. And we are all demonstrating in our own consciousness through rage, through whatever it might be, through longing for peace and through longing ultimately for inclusion. Because when we experience rage or anger, I think that is a bridge for the inclusion. Maybe we can skip the rage and anger by looking right away into the dark spots in our subconscious mind and our unconscious mind. And that is what I would like to do today. I don't want to go into lofty, oh my God, I'm the soul being, I have the spiritual experience on planet Earth. And by forgetting that my neighbors right there where I live in New Jersey, in New York, are of almost 220 different ethnicities. And how many of them do I really personally know and include into my life? When I go back to Germany, you know all what's going on in Europe with the division of the people who had to flee their countries. And some might take advantage. We always know everybody is going through their own experiences. But how much do I really include these people? I have to really look at myself. And I have to start with myself and my own system. I had to look at what we call the Jews. I had to look at what we call the Blacks. I had to look at what we call the Muslims or the Christians, the Germans, the Nazis, the whatevers, in order to find, number one, some kind of peace within myself. But number two, to be able to be a conscious human being embracing humankind and really asking myself, do I allow everybody to have the human experience they chose to have in this lifetime with their soul being incarnated into a human? What is my personal contribution to making this possible in this time and this place? Because I'm living now, I'm not living back 50 or 60 years ago when my father lived, or even further back when my grandparents lived, whatever we can relate to within our system. So that is something I would like to do in an inner journey. And I would like to then also ask you to participate and give me or us the feedback, because I think it's a really important moment in time to not just demonstrate outrage, but demonstrate really inclusion, starting with the demonstration of our own soul's ability to look at the dark spots in our subconscious experience as who we are right now. So that's where
Thank you.
It's not even just subconscious. We carry it in our souls.
Absolutely, we bring it in. Yeah.
Past life of this conquistador, this very arrogant Spanish conqueror, marching through villages on his horse, claiming land for Spain, driving over the indigenous people who lived there, completely ignorant, complete disregard that they weren't even human. They didn't matter. They were just sort of in our way, and let's keep going. And to know that the soul can carry that kind of arrogance and exclusion and superiority, I mean, these are the things that we're here on the planet working on. And if we ignore that some seed of that exists within us, then it can grow. So let's put it in the light. Let's work with it.
And for me, it was the opposite. I have been a revolutionary in many lives. And we just did sessions for each other. And Paul said, tune in with your heart. And the very first thing which came out of my heart was the fist of a black man, like this. So, I know about many lifetimes where I was fighting for what I thought is right. And so it wasn't lesson 2. Okay, so shall we start with one and then?
Which one do you want to do? This?
Well, I'd like to share my own experience. Do you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. If I may, I'd like to share my own experience related to inclusion and exclusion. Just in November, I fell down and broke my backbone and was bound to bed for 2 months. Even I was at home, I felt as if I was really excluded from everything. That was really a disaster on my part. And then I thought I should really find another place where I can get some treatment. So I moved to a residence for elderly people so that I can get some medical treatment as well. And as I was getting my medical treatment, the virus broke up. So I got stuck here, which was a real experience on my part, because I didn't feel excluded at all. I didn't miss my home. This was my home, I felt, because of the unconscious feeling I have of oneness. So here, all the people living here was just one group, one unity. And that's why I got adjusted to this place so quickly. And I feel so happy here. And I felt the inclusion to the group.
Yeah.
And this is a great happiness that one can experience.
Oh, beautiful.
So
No,
glad.
thank you. Oh. Warms my heart.
Someone else
So
want to share
even
their
now
experience with?
sorry.
Mhm.
Even now we are bound to stay here in the building. I don't feel excluded at
Right?
all.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Start with
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you be okay starting an inner journey? Is everybody
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
ready?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Good. So let's do that.
Sure.
Just as you know, to center yourself. Please close your eyes if you want to. Take a nice deep breath to center yourself and connect with the above and the below, as you know how to do. And taking a nice breath and consciously thinking about, do we as human beings really care for each other? Just think about it for a moment. And shift away from your family and your community and your work group and your church, etc. And whom do you consciously really actually care for in our human community? If you look at the globe, we are in a human community. And think about the people you surround yourself with. Does everybody look the same? Are you experiencing diversity in your environment? Are you allowing other people into your community? And do you allow them to have a different view? And do they or do you make them feel as if you belong? And imagine you make people feel truly wanted in our human correlation, respected for their individual value, who they are in this life, for who they truly are. And now let's put the focus back on ourselves. Put the focus on yourself. Do you feel valued for who you truly are? Do you feel valued for who you truly are? And you might start now with your own family system and sense and feel into your family, maybe also way, way back into your ancestry. And search for exclusion within your family. That might be through war, that might be through religion, through sexual orientation, through illness, whatever it might have been, migration, age, being wrong. And maybe someone or some people pop up for you in your inner mind's eye. And you might want to take time to welcome this person into your family, into your system. giving them a place. Sharing with them that there have always been difficult times, but how you now work through this together with this soul being included, and through forgiving mistakes or developing understanding for each other. We are here to transform together. You might want to really share that. We are here to transform together, to include and develop compassion and understanding, and love. Sense and feel into your heart. And notice the compassion and love for yourself and for the ones you are choosing to include or asking to be included, if they choose to do so. Taking a breath and allowing yourself to really be, in the true sense, mindful. What are you filling your subconscious and your unconscious mind with? What needs to be included into your subconscious and unconscious mind? Where do you need to transform your thinking? So as we said before, shine light into the dark corners of your subconscious and unconscious, and let that be revealed now where there is still something which is missing in your conscious mind. Change is inevitable. Change is moving as much as every breath is moving you through life. And between these breaths, there is the change which moves you forward, which can be transformation if you are choosing to do so. You can choose if change is transformation for you. You can plant a beautiful seed and let it grow into a tree which never can go back into that seed, but blossom. So who will blossom with you? Whom do you invite into this experience, which we call the human experience? Take a nice breath and really anchor that experience into your conscious mind. And whenever you feel ready to breathe yourself into the now and feel your feet and feel yourself back here with us in the circle, take a nice deep breath and center yourself, coming back. Taking some time to really anchor into your conscious mind. Thank you for sharing. Also, those who still continue, we give you space. Take your time because it was a lot to take in. And we would like to invite people to share at this moment. It would be beautiful to hear from you what your thoughts or experiences are as to what we tapped into.
Unmute yourself before you speak, and then we'll hear you better.
I'll share. Thank you. I'm Randy, and I'm in Indiana near Chicago. My grandparents met when they were like 13 and 15 on a boat coming from Europe, from Austria and Poland. Their parents sent all their children to get away from there and never saw them again. And I would always cry when I tell the story, because my grandmother had two, like her sister was supposed to come, but her sister got sick, so she had 2 days to realize that she was coming to America, which excited her, but she never saw her parents again, and that like breaks my heart. But what I went back to was her parents and my grandpa's parents, and what they sacrificed and how they did that, and they couldn't get themselves out of there, but they got their children out of it. So that so I was in tears. It was just, I'd never taken it all the way back to like, and I did intellectually, but I could really feel how powerful that was and what they did. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And that's exactly what I mean, the sacrifices and what happened if you place them right with you. It's a different experience from thinking about it. That's what I heard you say, right? And that's the shift. That's the inclusion. That's giving them a place. So that when yes, there you go, right? Yeah, exactly. You made that gesture, yeah, giving them a place, literally. And whoever comes after you doesn't need to pick up that energy of loss, because you're looking and you are including. And it's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm really gonna connect with them when I go to my higher self now. I mean, I see lots of ancestors and guides, but I want to know them. I want to connect with them.
Yeah. And in the beginning we connect with the sadness or the all about whatever it might have been, or maybe with the pain, but after that follows connecting to their incredible strength, right? Like you said, what could they do? I mean, provide that for the children. And I'm getting goosebumps. Yeah. So if you are capable of connecting to that strength, imagine.
I will, and I am, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Randy. Who else would like to share?
I could share. This is Billy in Iowa, US. I was very fortunate a few years back when I did an LBL for a Life Between Lives session for a student who was doing case studies in practice. And I just thought, it's just a study, it's just a practice. But Spirit slipped in a real zinger for me, which was at first exciting, but also at the same time, it was heavy to accept. And that was that my father, who had passed away in 1991, had come back, and he was now one of my grandsons. And a grandson who I spent a lot of time with, and in fact, even in the past few days, a lot of time with him. And I realized the acceptance of this it seems joyous on one hand, but my father and I had a very kind of taciturn, or a very awkward relationship, separate in many ways, emotionally. We had a lot of connection too, spiritually. I could feel that, but it would come up to the surface in a just a difficult way. And so when he passed, I wasn't near him at that time, and most of the family thought it was kind of a bad thing that I did not be there with him. I felt that we didn't have much in common when he passed. I also felt that I felt that something had to be resolved at some point. And so in my LBL, my Life Between Lives session, this is with Autumn, Spirit says to me, well, you know, he's back and he's your grandson. And I'm saying, oh my gosh. I was blown away by that. I thought it was wonderful, but also it was kind of a heavy weight to take on. And some of the inclusion that I have experienced in what I was doing right now was just connecting with him. And I remember when he passed, it was such a joyous thing. When he passed, this is way before I was even doing any kind of regression or Life Between Lives. This is back in 1991. When he passed, I felt so much joy from him, so much freedom from him, which was a wonderful feeling. It was like one of our first, or not one of our first, but what a wonderful healing feeling at that time. And yet I also realized as I went on in my life up until, recently, that was something that had not been quite finished, cleaned up, or taken care of. And so in this meditation, he came up real quickly, very buoyant, very happy, and then also this knowledge that he's in my grandson Dylan. And I realized when we were working yesterday, I was going through this feeling of like, this is my father. This is my soul, my father's soul here in my grandson. And I realized there was more work to be done. The work was able to be done. And then this meditation and this inclusion, it was acceptance of that. Saying, yes, take that on, bring it in, use it, do it, and follow the path that's laid before you. And what a great opportunity. What a fantastic opportunity.
And it's a great opportunity to have the experience or knowledge, or however you want to call it, for some maybe a belief that as souls we come back to teach each other and have experience with each other. And and to speak with the topic of today, in black and green and yellow and whatever kind of a form we come to teach each other. And be it through father and grandson in your system, or be it through even more distant people, but we as souls take on these roles.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We just have to check in with each other because we kind of wing this here.
We have
You're winging very well.
One more practice that we love to have everyone participate in. It's something that we do often at our workshops. And it's really a pretty short phrase, but I think it goes very, very deep. And I think what I'd like to do is in a moment have everyone unmute themselves. And I'd like to we're going to go by the screen here, by who's on our screen, and have each of us together say to the individual that I'll name these 3 phrases. It's a traditional African greeting, and it's, I see you. And it's really about seeing the soul being, or the entire being in that person, or of that person. And we'd like to add to that, first, I see you, and then I see you in me, and then I see me in you. So three phrases, right? And so if you would unmute your microphone.
Repeat that.
And if you're comfortable with putting your video on for this part, I think it would be easier for everyone. So the phrases are, I see you in me, and I see me in you. Okay? We're going to start with Betul. And
Oh, we
Betul,
don't put her on the spot now.
Betul, we're going to ask you just to let yourself be seen and be acknowledged and be included. Okay?
Okay.
So,
Lovely.
Tanya, can we unmute Tanya? No? Yeah, there. Okay. And Rana, let's unmute you
Is
too.
everybody unmuted?
I see you.
So, Betul, I see you.
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 I see you.
I see you
And
and
me.
I see
I see me.
me.
And you.
You.
Mm.
That's beautiful.
again.
And then Christina.
Where is Christina?
Christina's in
Ah, okay.
Portugal.
That's
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
I see you.
See you.
I
I
see
see
you.
you and me.
In me. I
I see
see
me.
me in you.
You.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
good to see you.
Mm. Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all.
Bruce.
Nice to be seen.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, very much so.
Bruce.
Hello, NC.
I see you.
You.
I
I
See
see
you
You
you.
in me.
me.
I
I
I
see
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 me
in
in
you.
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 Mm.
Mm,
Love you,
in
Bruce.
Mm.
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 Mm. Terezinha,
Yeah.
also in Lisboa.
Mm.
I see
I see
you.
you
You. I
I see
see
you
You
in me.
and me.
In me.
I
I
see
I
me
see
in you.
you
you.
and you.
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 Teresa.
Mm,
Mm. Mm.
Mm.
And Beza.
Rosa.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
Mm.
I
I
see
see
you.
you.
I
I
I
see
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 you in
you
me.
in
me.
Mm.
I see
I
I
me
see
see
me.
you
you.
You.
in you.
Mm.
Mm.
Mhm.
Isan.
I
Yes.
Oh,
I
Isan.
I
I see
I see
you.
you.
I see you. I see
I
you.
I see you
Me.
in me.
me.
I
I
I
see
see
me
me
In
in
you.
in
you.
In
you.
you.
In
Just take that in, Isan.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, our new neighbor.
Yes. Mm.
I
I
see
see
you.
you.
You
I
I
see
see
you
you
in me.
and
in me.
me.
I see me
I
in
I
you.
see
I
I
see
see
Me
me.
me
Me
You.
in
in
you.
you.
Mhm.
Bill.
Thank you. Randy.
Randy.
Mm.
The
Yeah.
I
I
I
see
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 you.
you,
you.
Randy.
The
I see you.
see
I
you
You
see
in
You
me,
see me in
and
you.
I
I
in
see
see
I
me.
see
me
me
in
You
in
you.
you.
in you,
You.
Yeah.
Randy.
Randy.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And
Jen.
Jen.
And
Mm.
I
I
I
see
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 you.
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 And
I
I see
see
I
you
see
you
I
you
you
in
in
me.
you.
me.
me.
I see me
I
in
see
you.
I
I
see
see
me
me
Me.
in
in
see
you.
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 Mhm. Mm. Oh, this is beautiful.
Rana.
Yeah.
I see
see
you.
you.
I
I
see
see
you
you in me.
in me.
I see
I
me
see
in
me
you.
you.
Rana.
Jana.
Take that in, Rana. Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Olga. Olga, I see you.
Olga,
See
I
you.
see you.
I see you.
I see
I
you.
see you in me.
I see you in me.
And I see
See
me
me.
and you.
You.
Take it in, Olga. Take it in, really. Yes. We see you. Yeah.
Beverly.
Beverly.
I
I
see
See
you.
you. Beverly.
I
see
see
you
you in
In
me.
me.
I see
And I see me
and
you.
You.
in you.
Beverly.
Beverly.
Yeah. Thank you, Beverly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sarah.
Yeah.
Sarah. Yeah.
Sarah. I see you.
Sarah.
I see
I
I
see you
I
I
see
see you
you
in
in
Me.
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 I see
See
I
me.
see
you.
in
In
you.
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 Rana.
Hmm. Franklin. Oh.
Franklin. Yes.
Franklin, I
I
I
see
see
I
you.
see
you.
you.
Franklin.
I
I
I
see
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 you
you
And
in
in
me.
me.
I
I
see
I
see
see
me.
me
in
in
you.
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 in
Very
you.
good.
Hmm. Thank you.
Donna.
Hey, Jana. Jana, I see you.
I
You.
see
You.
You.
I
I
see
I
you
see
see
in
You.
you
me.
you
in
In
me.
me.
I see
I
me
see
See
me
me.
in
You.
you.
You. Jana.
Yeah, beautiful.
Oh, beautiful. Houston.
Wisdom.
Houston.
Yeah, I see you.
See you.
husband.
I see
I
I
see
see
you in
you
You
me.
and
me.
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 I
I
see
See
see me
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 in
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 you.
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 Who's done?
Houston.
Wisdom.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Next one, Sophia.
Hmm?
Sophia, next one.
Oh,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
can do Sophia next.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sophia.
I take it in. I'm just say it back. I just take it in.
I
I see you,
You.
You.
Sophia.
I see
I
you.
see
you
You
and
and
me.
me.
me
I see
I see me
in you.
in you.
You. Sophia.
We love you.
I see.
Yes, we love you.
Hmm.
Paul.
This goes viral.
Billy. I see
I
See
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 you.
you
I
I
see
I
see
and
see
you
you
and
and
me
me.
me.
I see
I see me
and
in
you.
you.
Really.
Hmm.
Dankeschön.
Really.
Gern geschehen.
Angie.
Nancy. Lovely Nancy.
Jeez.
And see.
I
I
see
see
you.
you.
you. I see
I
I
see
see
you
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 in
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 me.
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 I
I
see
I
See
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 me.
You.
in
You.
you.
See.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lovely Nancy.
Yeah.
Nitsan.
It's
Nissan.
Yeah.
I
I
see
see you.
You.
I see
see you
you in
and
You
me.
and
me.
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 I
I
I
see
see
me
me
and
in
you.
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 Hmm.
Mhm.
Mm. And Paul.
Tanya. Tanya, we don't see. Oh, our internet is unstable.
But we can still see her.
Yeah.
Tanya?
Tanya, can Tanya hear us? Yeah.
Tanya.
So Tanya.
Tanya.
Oh, I see you.
Tanya, I see you.
I see you.
See you. Yeah.
I
see you in me.
I see
I see me
in you.
in you.
Tanya.
Thank you.
And Paul.
And Paul.
And
Yes.
Paul. You.
I
I
see
you.
I see you.
You and me.
I see me in you.
Absolutely, Paul.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Nora with us.
No, we didn't do Nora. Nora.
Nora.
Nora.
Oh, there's Nora.
Nora.
Nora, we see you. I see you,
I
Nora.
see you.
See you.
I see you.
In me.
In you.
I see me.
I see me in you.
Nora.
Dear Nora.
And now we do it to all of us at once.
Yes.
Yay.
Everyone we want to include
Yes.
in our
Yes.
thoughts and hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Think of everyone you need to include and want to.
And let's take a little pause between each one.
Oh.
I see you.
I
I
see
see
I see you in me.
I see
I see me in you.
You.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
Wow. Great. Wonderful feeling.
wow. What a heart opener that is.
Lots of
Yeah.
inclusion there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh.
I'm
Wow.
so sorry. I have to leave. I have a meeting at 7.
We understand.
It
was
12.
really great
Good to see you,
feelings.
Vito.
I felt like we had like tiny strings in between,
Yeah.
and as we completed the round, those strings became much stronger,
Wow.
like roots or something like that. So it was really great. Thank you so much. So hope to see you next time.
Lovely.
Bye-bye,
Yeah.
Victor. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Thank you everyone so much for today. That's just beyond words. I feel so enlightened.
Paul, we also have to congratulate you finishing your book.
Oh, yes.
You look lighter.
How does it
Thank you,
feel?
everybody. Yeah. Yeah. Submitted on Monday. Already working on edits.
Yay.
Title.
What title is it? What title?
Add some vibrations to the title.
As a title, we just don't know what it is yet.
Well, the book will choose its title. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I thought so too.
It will. It will. It's written. It's written. It's submitted. Going through editing. 3 rounds of editing, design. June 2021 will be on the shelves.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Me too. It's like giving birth a few times, I think.
I know, I can imagine that.
I couldn't have, but now I can. Yeah. Sophia had a beautiful session and saw the book as a living thing and said you have to really know that it's living, that it's alive.
It was like just moving and breathing with kind of like wings, like so alive. It's impossible to describe it when you have this inner kind of. First, you think it's a book with information. No, it's not. It's.
But it has some.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It has information.
What is it about? It's like sessions?
I mean, it's so much more than that.
So the book was impatient. Paul, give me birth.
Yeah.
Come on, Paul. Paul, yes, I can do it. Book was going into you and trying to out of you and try to push you and feeling all your feelings.
It's all about going in.
Like womb regression, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You know, someone's not in the WhatsApp group because you were invited by someone else. If you send me your email to paul@paulaurand.com, then I'll send you the recording too if you want that. I don't have everyone's contact. So if you're not in that.
You're open to more.
Yeah.
I know someone who loves you who would love to be on this.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Totally. I mean,
this is about
the more the
inclusion.
merrier. Yeah.
Yes.
It's not an exclusive group.
Yes.
It varies every week a bit anyway.
Yeah, I mean, look at the diversity here. How many countries do we have represented? You know, it's really fabulous. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Oh.
So good to see you all.
What's it?
So good to see you all.
Yeah.
I'm just switching the screen so I can see you all.
Yeah. Thank you for today, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Congrats.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Hey, Jen.
Thanks again.
Take your beautiful energy out into the world.
You too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So good to see you.
For doing this. Good to see you.
Paul, next step
Thank
is
you.
translating it into Turkish. Paul, next
Yes, it will. Absolutely.
is in Turkish.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It will be. For sure.
And maybe Portuguese, Teresa?
Yeah. Into Portuguese too. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yeah.
Yep. No, it'll be all over the world. Yeah.
Lovely.
Thank you, everybody.
Good.
Thank you.
Bye, Paul. Bye, Sophia. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks a million. Thank you.
Miss you. So see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Paul, see you next week. Okay.
Yes.
That's
Bye.
the plan.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Stay well and healthy. And
You
be
too.
blessed.
Auf Wiedersehen.
You too.
Bye-bye. Auf Wiedersehen.